I didn't believe in ghosts, not until I experienced something at Raynham Hall that I can never explain. The story I'm about to share with you is real, and it still haunts me. It all began on a winter night when I thought I was just going to stay in a charming old manor and maybe do some exploring. I didn't expect to face her. I'd heard the legends before, the story of Lady Dorothy Walpole, the woman they say still wanders these halls, trapped in an eternal nightmare. Her own husband locked her away in this house, never to see the light of day again. They say she was forgotten, but not gone. I thought it was all just that. Stories. You know, the kind of things they tell you to spook you. But then, one evening, I decided to venture into the darkest part of the house. I don't know why, but something drew me there. The air turned thick and heavy. It was like the walls themselves were watching. I could feel it, the unmistakable presence of something other. That's when I heard it. The softest sound, barely audible, like footsteps, but they were wrong, slow, deliberate. I turned around, but the hall was empty. I thought it was my imagination. After all, it was so cold that night. Too cold, almost. Then I saw something that made my blood freeze. At the top of the stairs, she was there. She didn't move, but I knew she was watching me. Her figure, tall and gaunt, wearing a brown dress that seemed to blend with the shadows. She floated. No footsteps, no noise, just a presence that wrapped around me like the cold. I tried to move, but my legs wouldn't work. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I blinked, and in that moment, the air grew colder. My breath clouded in front of me, and that's when I saw it. Her eyes, empty, hollow, staring directly at me. And then she began to move, slowly, deliberately. She glided down the stairs, step by step, her form more defined with each one, but her face was still obscured by that dark veil. My heart pounded in my chest. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I turned to run, but someone, was standing right behind me. Her presence surrounded me, her coldness seeping into my bones. My breath came in ragged gasps as I turned back. She was closer. I don't remember how I got out of there, but I know what I saw and what I felt. It wasn't just a trick of the light. It wasn't a figment of my imagination. She was real. When I looked through the old photos of Raynham Hall the next day, I found something that made my blood run cold. The famous photograph, the one from 1936, showed the very same staircase where I had seen her. The brown lady, and she was exactly as I had seen her. Except in the photograph, she was not alone. There was someone with her, standing at the base of the stairs, his face twisted with fear. But no one had ever mentioned him before. No one had even known he had been there. The brown lady didn't just haunt Raynham Hall. She wanted something. Maybe it's still there, lurking in the halls, watching, waiting. But whatever you do, don't let her catch your gaze. Don't let her see you, because once she does, you may never leave. She's still here, watching, always watching. It was a cold night in 1959 when a couple driving through the snow-covered Highway 91 in British Columbia picked up a man who seemed to be lost. It had been snowing heavily for hours, and the couple wasn't expecting anyone to be on the road. But there he was, standing at the side of the highway, arms waving frantically. He looked cold, disheveled, almost desperate. They weren't the type to leave someone stranded in a storm, so they pulled over. He was grateful for the ride, thanking them over and over, mumbling about how far he had to go to get to a nearby town. He was barely coherent, shivering, with his clothes not matching the brutal chill of the night. But they didn't think much of it at the time. After about 30 minutes of driving, the man told them they had reached his stop, a small town. Nothing special about it. He asked to be let out, and the couple pulled over. But here's the thing. When they looked back, he wasn't there. No door opening, no sound of footsteps crunching in the snow. He was just gone. The couple sat in the car, stunned. They thought maybe he'd walked off, but the snow was deep, the road was empty. Nothing made sense. They drove off, shaken but unsure of what had just happened. It wasn't until they reached the town's outskirts hours later that they began asking around about the hitchhiker. That's when they learned no one had seen him. He didn't exist. Or at least that's what they told the couple. Over the years, people driving down Highway 91 in the winter months have reported picking up a similar figure. A lone, freezing man, desperate for a ride. And just like the couple, they find themselves alone on the road moments later. No trace of the man anywhere. No footprints, no sign of struggle, just cold emptiness. Was it a ghost? A phantom of the highway wandering in search of warmth during the dead of winter? Or something far darker? I don't know about you, but I won't be stopping on any snow-covered highway anytime soon. One winter evening, a family decided to move into this seemingly innocuous house. They had no idea what they were about to walk into. On their very first night there, strange things started happening. The temperature in the house dropped inexplicably, even though the heating was on full blast. Doors slammed. The sound of footsteps echoed through empty rooms. And then, it happened. Their young child was attacked. I know it sounds unbelievable, but they said it was as if something, or someone, had physically grabbed their child, leaving deep marks on the skin. The child screamed, but no one was there. As they tried to make sense of what was happening, the dark figure of a man appeared, dressed in black robes, his face hidden in shadow. The Black Monk, they called him. His presence made the walls feel like they were closing in, and the cold. It was like nothing they had ever felt before. It wasn't just the air, it was in their bones. One night, the family decided they'd had enough. They were packing to leave when the lights flickered and went out. They made their way to the front door, but just as they opened it, the door slammed shut with a force so violent they were thrown across the room. And that's when they heard it, the sound of deep guttural breathing right behind them. But when they turned, no one was there. I don't care if you're a skeptic. You'd be running out the door the moment that door slammed shut, wouldn't you? The family left that night, never to return. And those who dared to visit 30 East Drive after have never been the same. People say the Black Monk is still there, haunting anyone who dares to walk into that cursed house. Now tell me, would you dare to stay the night there? The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. This place isn't just an inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining. It's a real-life haunted nightmare. In the dead of winter, when the snow traps you inside and the hotel is eerily quiet, that's when the ghosts seem to come alive. Guests often report hearing piano music playing from an empty room. The kind of soft, haunting melody that makes your skin crawl. Some claim to have seen the ghost of the hotel's original owner, F.O. Stanley, roaming the halls in his old suit. But what's even more terrifying is the feeling you get when you're alone in one of those long, silent hallways. It's like something or someone is watching you, waiting for you to turn the corner. One guest remembers hearing the distinct sound of footsteps following them, though no one was there. At first, They thought it was another guest, but when they turned around, no one. They tried to shake it off, but then they saw it, a figure in the distance, at the far end of the hallway. An old man, his face hidden in shadow, just standing there, watching. And then, just as quickly as he appeared, he vanished. But that's not the worst part. Some visitors claim that the spirits in the hotel aren't just lingering. They're searching for something that's been lost. Maybe they're looking for warmth or company. But when the air gets colder, the spirits get closer. Would you feel safe knowing you were trapped in a hotel with ghosts that may be desperate for something or someone? You won't catch me there during the winter months. Trust me on that one.